Hello and welcome, candidates, to the lesson. We are going to continue with the public speaking and presentation. In today's session, we will study audience analysis. We are going to define audience analysis. Then we will discuss the factors to consider when carrying out audience analysis. Then lastly, we discuss the types of audience analysis. Now, what is the meaning of audience analysis? That's the first question we are going to answer. Now, candidates, audience analysis is the process of gathering information about the people in your audience so that you can understand their needs, you can understand their expectations, you can understand their beliefs, you can understand their values, you can understand their attitudes, as well as their likely opinions. So it is the process of doing what? Of gathering information about your audience. So if you are to speak to a certain group of people, then it's important for you to do what we call audience analysis. And that means you gather information about the people you are to talk to. And why do you gather information about them? So that you can understand their needs. So that you don't speak to people about things that they don't need to hear. It's important for you to understand what they believe, what are their values, what are their attitudes, what are their possible opinions. And the desired results of presentation candidates cannot be achieved from a presentation unless the person making the presentation knows his or her audience. And audience analysis is an integral part of the presentation process. So what that means is that adapting your speech according to the types of audience is likely to generate a better response or understanding of your message. And that leads us to another aspect of this lesson of factors to consider when carrying out audience analysis. There are three major factors to consider. Factors to consider. Let me first write down the definition for you. I've said that audience analysis is the process of gathering information. It is the process of gathering information about the people in your audience. It is the process of gathering information about the people in your audience so that you can understand their beliefs, that's the meaning. So we are moving on to the next aspect of this lesson, factors to consider. What factors do you consider when carrying out audience analysis? What factors do you consider? I've said there are three major factors. Number one is audience characteristics. When carrying out audience analysis, first of all, consider audience characteristics. Okay? Then you analyze audience needs. Analyze the needs of the audience, and these needs may include expectations. What are the expectations of the audience? Then the third factor to consider is you need to check out for the or identify factors for getting or maintaining audience attention. Identify factors for obtaining audience attention. Now, first of all, let's talk about audience characteristics. Now, candidates, the speaker or the presenter needs to identify the basic characteristics of his or her audience. The presenter should try and gather as much background information about the listeners as much as he or she can. And these characteristics may include the age, may include the gender. What is the gender of the audience? What is the socio-economic or educational background of the audience? What is the religion of the audience? How about political affiliations? You may also need to get information about their profession. What are their attitudes? What are the beliefs? What are the values of the audience? So when all such characteristics are identified, then the presenter is better equipped to plan and prepare his or her presentation effectively. And I first mentioned age. What is the age? What is the age group of the audience? That is one of the most important factors to take into account. Because we all know, if you are speaking to, say, children, children love listening to stories and are more interested in dramatic presentation. You don't talk to children the way I'm talking to you. No, and when you are talking to children, you need to be dramatic, all right? You need to be very active. You need to be very active. You don't just stand the way I'm standing here. No, you need to be active. You need to maybe compose some songs. At the end of every point, you make them sing songs, all right? They love listening to stories. They like dramatic presentation. That's how you get their attention. And if you are talking to, say, high school or college students, those ones are likely to be, they like being treated as adults. And they are responsive to new ideas. They appreciate an honest, straightforward approach. But sometimes they are likely to be very critical. And they expect well-prepared and informative presentation. Those are college students. So you need to understand the age group, because each age has its own characteristics. Children, we've talked about children. Children, there is college students and even high school students. Then number 3, we have young adults. Young adults candidates, like the one behind the camera here, is a young adult. Young adults are most sophisticated. If you are talking to young adults, if you are preparing a speech to give to young adults, then you need to understand that they are more sophisticated. And they have a wide range of interest and progressive attitude. They like new projects, they like new ideas, but they can also be very critical. Then you may also have middle-aged audience. Middle-aged audience. Middle-aged audience are conservative and they do not easily accept new ideas. They are more knowledgeable as compared to these other ones. they are more knowledgeable than the young adults, than the college students and the children. They are more knowledgeable. They have experience of life, but they may not be very enthusiastic about changes or new ideas. You find them listening very keenly. They listen with the interest, but they do not easily accept new ideas. You may also have an opportunity to speak to, say, senior citizens. I call them senior citizens than just old, because we would rather call them senior citizens than maybe old citizens. Senior citizens, candidates, I can say, are usually interested in information about new development, all right? They want to be told what is new and what is going on in the world. But they also like being reminded of their good old days, the good old days. So candidates, have given an example of just age. When you are doing audience analysis, one thing you need to check is age. And so it's not the only thing. I've said you can check religion, profession, educational background, socioeconomic backgrounds, and so on. But age, you can see candidates. The way you speak to children may not be the way you speak to college students or young adults or middle age or the senior citizens. So it's important to analyze audience characteristics. Age is just one of them. Then the second factor to consider when carrying out audience analysis is analyze audience needs and expectations. Needs and expectations. Now, those who will attend and listen to the presentation may have needs and expectations. Not even may, they have needs and expectations. If people are coming to listen to you, then the people have certain needs, they have certain expectations. They will come to your meeting for a reason. So if the presenter wants them to listen, if a presenter wants the audience to listen to him or her, then the presenter has to understand and respond to the needs and expectations of his or her audience. In other words, the presentation must be audience-oriented, dealing with the topic from the perspective of the audience. All right? So it's important for you to know what needs are you meeting, what are the needs of the people who are coming to the meeting, what are the expectations. So when preparing your speech, then you need to know that you are responding to certain needs and expectations. But if you do not know the needs or the expectations of your audience, then you may likely waste not just your time, but also their time. Because people attend meetings for a reason. So it's important for you to understand what are the reasons for the people coming to your meeting. Audience analysis. Then we also said in part C that you ought to recognize factors for getting and maintaining audience attention. What factors are these we are talking about that will help you maintain audience attention? Now, candidates, factors that meet the needs of the listeners should be determined as listeners will be more interested in the presentation if the presentation meets the requirements or meets their needs. And as a result, they are more likely to listen attentively or understand what is being said, and they remember the key points of the presentation. And more informed decisions can be made about how to best adapt to the varying moods of the listeners, and also how to tap into their curiosity, how to tap into their interest, as well as motivation. And the best rule here to remember, candidates, in identifying factors for getting and keeping audience attention is to remain flexible and to blend, or to have a blend of methods, to have alternatives to accommodate listeners' perceptions. And when that is done, then you'd have adopted the best approach to audience analysis. So it's important when you are doing presentation to identify what are the factors for getting and maintaining audience attention. All right, factors for obtaining and maintaining audience attention. So let us now discuss the types of audience analysis. Types of audience analysis. Now, there are various types of audience analysis, candidates. One of them is what we call demographic analysis. Demographic analysis. Demographic analysis. From the word demography, demographic. Candidates, this demographic audience analysis includes taking in factors such as age, gender, race, culture, ethnicity, marital status, things like socioeconomic conditions, education, occupation, and so on. For example, if the subject is about, say, healthcare, and the audience is in, say, in their late 60s, then your speech should be geared towards age-appropriate recommendations for, say, health, lifestyle. That's just an example. Then there is what we call psychographic audience analysis. Psychographic audience analysis. Psychographic, psycho, from the word psychology. Now, this one is one of the types of audience analysis that covers understanding the cultures, understanding the beliefs, understanding the values, understanding the thinking patterns of the audience. The thinking pattern. Psycho means mind, thinking. So when carrying out audience analysis, you can consider values such as freedom, honesty, justice, patriotism, equality, and so on, because such are universal and cherished by most audience. All right? Things like honesty, things like freedom, justice, patriotism. Those are factors that are cherished universally. And the audience is most likely to respect you if they hear from you on such matters like freedom, like justice, and so on. Those are values. Then another type of audience analysis, number 3, we've talked about demographic analysis, we've talked about psychographic analysis. We can mention situational analysis. Situational analysis, candidates, includes factors such as the audience size, factors such as the occasion. It may also include the layout of the room where you are making the presentation. The room may also, when checking situational analysis for the room, you may also check the stage layout. Situational analysis, we can also include the interest of the audience. And candidates, if your audience is, say, smaller, there is a possibility of developing a rapport with each member. If it's small, of say 10 or 5 people, you can develop a rapport. You can even know their names. When presenting, you can mention their names. You can build a rapport with each member. So it's important when carrying out situation analysis to tailor the data or delivery to the occasion. That is what you will say, for example, at a corporate conference may differ widely from talking to, say, a family function. So how you talk in a family function will be different from how you are likely to give a speech at a corporate function because of situational analysis, the factors that will be considered when carrying out situational analysis. We're talking about the size and so on. Then let's mention the last type of audience analysis, which is multicultural. Multicultural audience analysis. Now, candidates, the content of a speech should acknowledge the diversity of the audience. And it's important to remember that different cultures have different value systems, they have different behavior patterns, and so on. And giving a speech is important to avoid being judgmental, because being judgmental creates negative impact. And therefore, candidates, cultural sensitivity and inclusiveness should be part of audience analysis. Cultural audience analysis, multicultural audience analysis. You consider, you need to remember when talking to a group of people, they may be coming from different backgrounds, so important for you to be very sensitive to the cultural beliefs and systems of the people. Try as much as possible to be inclusive, to be sensitive. That should be part of audience analysis. So candidates, that will mark the end of our today's lesson, where we've defined audience analysis, we've identified factors to consider when carrying out audience analysis, then we've discussed the types of audience analysis. So I'll give you assignment. Question number 1, outline the factors to consider when carrying out audience analysis. Number 2, discuss 4 types of audience analysis. Thank you for attending our today's session. I'll meet you in our next session where we continue with the topic on public speaking and presentation. After this subtopic, we are going to study the subtopic selecting and researching the topic. Selecting and researching the topic will be our next area. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye.